You said one of your other challenges, you wrote to me about them beforehand, was some resistance to like those requests, right? Do you want to give an example of that?
Yeah, with him especially. Yeah, so for example, we're playing in the living room and he's playing, whatever, trucks with Duplo or store or something. He's playing a game with toys. And we've said, the plan this morning is we're playing a bit inside after breakfast and then we're going to the park, meeting some friends. And so to go to the park, we have to, get changed and put on our winter clothes and go pee, do everything we have to go do. And so I've given him, the plan for the morning and lots of advance time and time to play inside. And then when it's time to start getting rushed, pushing them out the door, and I'll say, okay, time to, let's go get our clothes on, or go pee and then we get our clothes on. He'll often be like, okay, I just want to do this. I just want to pour one more dump load into the basket. Finish feeding my animals. And I'll try to, recognize what he's doing, and he's like, oh, you're still feeding your animals. Okay, one more mouthful for the bear. We're like, okay, one more dump truck in the basket. And then he'll do it. I'll say, okay, let's go get the dress. I say, well, I just want to take one more scoop over here. Oh, I just need to put these over. I just need to finish putting these in the bank, And like, well, we just did one more. Now you want one more again. And I know this, like, one more again, one more again, one more again. And I feel like I'm trying to be so flexible, like with the plan and the time inside first, and like keeping him in the loop of everything, not just coming and swooping him up and forcing him to get dressed, but really trying to involve him and keeping him aware. And he's often very like, I understand he's immersed in his playing and it's important to him. That's what kids do, and that's what he wants to keep doing. But he also wants to go to the park. He's told me he wants to go to the park.
Yeah.
Told me he wants to go play outside. So I don't know how to like really, handle the situations better and get him out of, willingly get him out of, the cycle that he's in, of like staying in what he's doing.
Well, I really appreciate the way you're approaching this, because you have a lot of respect for him, and his autonomy and him playing imaginatively, which is like great. Like that's really good stuff for kids to do. Like that's awesome. And you're super respectful of him as you're describing this and this whole approach. So that's awesome. That's really great. I mean, a lot of us would be super triggered before that point. So kudos to you for doing that. There are a couple of places here. I mean, so, if we think it kind of to the ultimate consequences, if you miss your friends altogether, that would stink, right? Like you don't want to do that. So you can like, you can sort of crouch down and take his head in your hands and look him in the eyes and say, hey, buddy, I really want to see our friends. Do you? Yeah. We got to go if we want to see our friends, right? Like, so that's, you can start to explain that with a little bit more, a little bit more the power of like what's happening sort of behind it. Another thing, I think, though, this is a nice place for some of the playful responses that can be really helpful. You could be like, I'm a big truck, vroom, vroom, and I'm here to carry you upstairs to get dressed, vroom, vroom. Do you want to get on the back of my lifter here on my back? And we're going to go up the stairs like a really loud big truck. And you could pretend to be a really loud big truck, right? Or you could just be like mommy robot, and you could be like, I am the getting ready robot. It is time to go upstairs. You can try tickling him. You can also like, try to be contrary. You flop on the floor and you say, oh, we're never gonna go see our friends. I'm so sad. I'm in tears over never getting to see our friends because of the trucks. And you know, you could be like silly and dramatic. So all of these things are like really nice ways to just kind of those transitions, especially with the ages, you know, with 4 years old, and as you get with your younger son with these.
Yeah.
And you know, we talk about some of those playful things, responses in mindful parenting, and they're in the workbook and stuff. But
Yeah.
those are all. This is a really prime age to practice those, and then
Mhm.
it's fun because then you can lighten up a bit about the whole thing,
Yeah.
and it lightens them up, and it brings you together. And so then when you do have to, you know, when you make it fun like that, or you try to be playful like that, you're putting those deposits in that
Mhm.
relationship bank account. So then when eventually you do need to withdraw and
Mhm.
you're like, dude, I am so frustrated because you are doing, you know, I've seen you, I saw you hit your brother and I felt so scared.
Mhm.
And I'm really worried about this. We need to find a way to help you find a better way to do this, right? Or
Mhm.
whatever, when you need to talk to him seriously about some things that are really important, you've got all those deposits in that relationship bank account, and then you can withdraw, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
You want to put, like they say, five positive deposits in before you do any kind of withdrawal.
Yeah.
How's this landing with you?
Good. Yeah, I know that he responds well to the playful engagement, and I've been trying to think of it, but I don't think I've been thinking of it enough. And I did, like a couple weeks ago, go through maybe the module 6 of the course, and at the end there was a bonus with someone else
Yeah.
teaching about all these different playful skills for intervening with kids. Um, and yeah, I think that those would work well with him. And I think what I struggle with sometimes I think of it, but I'm so not in the mood, you know? And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
yeah.
that like you do want at least a bit of it to be authentic,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, for
yeah,
it to actually come across as playful
for sure.
rather than just being like sarcastic with them or, you know, just kind of using it off the cuff and not really wanting to engage with them.
Hmm.
So yeah, but I think if I try it a few times, and I think it probably would be helpful, and maybe that would reinforce my own use of more playful limit setting and boundaries and engagement.
I know it is really hard when you're not in the mood. When you're tired, you're
Yeah.
frustrated, you haven't seen mom friends in like 5 months. You're
Yeah.
like, I'm out. You know, that's why, you know, all of that stuff to fill your own cup is so, so important. But
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. You're allowed to not be in the mood for that. And that's totally fine. You're allowed to have grumpy days. Like, that's totally fine too. And it's kind of a hard line to walk. Like, sometimes you don't want to be inauthentic, but then at other times we know that sometimes we can like fake it a little and then we feel like we're in a good mood, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so you kind of have to just be aware of yourself and what's happening for you to see if that can be helpful and
Mm-hmm.
effective for that.
Mm-hmm. But I'll try to remember to try that even like the next couple of days and see you know, what kind of response I get and how quickly he's able to disengage from or like jump into the play. And then I guess that kind of breaks him out of being stuck in what he wants to do. And then, oh, playing, and then, oh, listening to what mommy says, oh, yeah, we're going to the park. So, yeah, I'll try to remember to do that the next couple of days, and hopefully I can
And then the
see the
other final
benefits.
thing with this is that allow extra time,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
like at least 20 minutes when you're thinking about getting
Oh,
a
yeah.
4-year-old out of the house. Like,
Yeah.
so that because that time pressure, it does stuff to
Yeah.
us, right? Like
Yeah.
it just like it triggers that threat response,
Yeah.
even if it's going to meet your friends at the
Yes.
park. It's
I agree.
crazy how like
Yeah.
time pressure feels to us, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I tend to now like even half an hour before I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, we have to start getting ready to go to the park. Because definitely like a month or so, I noticed that. I mean, partly I hadn't been meditating every day, but one of the things that I was noticing was when we were trying to get anywhere, um, it was inevitably a slow process. And even if there was very little like need for us to be going there or stress about the outing, I would get so frustrated because they would be suddenly these like slow motion people, in molasses, not wanting to do anything. And so I've been really, that's one of the things that when I started meditating again, to like think about those, observing more those earlier signs in myself that I was getting triggered and feeling stressed and was trying to just push through to what I had in mind and my plan. And so when I noticed myself starting to like push through whatever their resistance is to like my plan, backing off and being like, okay, where are they right now? What do they need? They're taking their time. There isn't a huge, I don't need to be going at a certain time. So yeah, try to give us a lot of time because you're right, it's here the time pressure we put on ourselves.
Yeah, for me, a mantra that works so well is, this is not an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an emergency. This is not an emergency. One of the funnest ways, the like playful ways I can think of to like get out, like kind of say you have to leave the park. You can be like to be just sort of bumbling. I think that's so funny. You can like walk into a tree. It's time to leave the park. Is this the way we go? Boom. And you just bump yourself into a tree and like ridiculous. And then they're like, no, mommy, this is where you go, silly. And you try to like go into the, whatever. and and then they can teach you that.
Mm-hmm.
That can be fun.
Mm-hmm. I guess that probably gives them a little, an instance of a bit of, power and authority over us and say,
Yeah, exactly. When they can teach you, it's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, here, have some autonomy, child, and we will have some fun as well. Catch new episodes of the Mindful Mama podcast and other free resources, including the Mindful Mom Guide at mindfulmamamentor.com. You can listen to every back catalog episode, including interviews with Dr. Dan Siegel, Janla Van Zandt, Sharon Salzberg, and get meditations, join our private Facebook group, and more. Go to mindfulmamamentor.com now. I'll see you there.